Poe is recognized for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here, Attorney General. I want to thank your office for the cooperation they've had on this specific issue of human trafficking, the new scourge that's happening in the United States. Recent Pew study has come out and said that there are approximately 2 million ineligible voters in the United States. Of that 2 million, 1.8 million are dead people. I would assume you would agree that voter rolls, when verified that the folks on the rolls are dead, they should be purged in some manner. Would you agree with that or not?
Absolutely. I think the purging should occur. It just ought to be done consistent with federal law.
Your office, how many specific cases have you prosecuted, or your office has prosecuted, on voter fraud since you've been Attorney General?
I don't know what the number is. I know that I prosecuted them myself when I was in the Public Integrity Center.
But just when you've been Attorney General?
I don't know what the number is.
Would the number be 0?
No, I think that we have had vote fraud cases that I know that we've either settled through pleas. I'm not sure we've had trials, but I know that we've had cases where people have committed offenses where they've made straw donations and other ways in which voter fraud was carried out. I know we've done those cases. I don't know what the numbers are.
Okay. So that I know the exact number, because the information I've been given, it's 0. So if you would provide me the actual number, I don't need the cases, just the number of cases that your office has prosecuted under Section 8 of the law, and let me know, and let the chairman know the exact number, because, like I said, my information is there are none.
Well, I mean, our efforts to fight voter fraud, though, go beyond just Section 8 of the NVRA. There's a whole range of other statutes that we use in bringing those cases.
I would like to know specifically Section 8 prosecutions under your term as Attorney General.
Okay. We can wrap that into the larger.
I know there are other cases. I'm not asking for the other ones. Just to be specific, I'm asking for the Section 8 prosecutions by your office.
But just to be fair, to get a sense of what it is we're doing, as I said, we'll give you that information, but as I said, I will give you a sense of what we're doing.
You can give me more information if you wish. That's fine. Just so Section 8's included in that. That would be great.
Sure.
The Mexican ambassador to the United States recently has made some comments about Fast and Furious, that Mexico was unaware of, quote, Mexico was never apprised how the operation would be designed and implemented, talked about the fact that Fast and Furious has hurt the relationship between the United States and Mexico. I'm not surprised that he would say something like this. We constantly talk, as we should, about the Americans that were killed in Fast and Furious, but there were apparently, according to me, in the Mexican news reports, hundreds of Mexican nationals killed because of Fast and Furious. The last time you were here, you answered a question and you said more people will probably die because of Fast and Furious. Do you know how many people in Mexico have been killed as a result of the United States helping to facilitate straw purchases of automatic weapons going down to Mexico? You know how many?
I don't know, but I would think that there have been some, and I know that given the 64,000 guns that have gone from the United States to Mexico, that Mexican citizens, Mexican law enforcement officers have lost their lives as a result of guns that started in the United States but ended up in Mexico.
How many of the guns have been recovered of the total number in Fast and Furious? And get different numbers. I've heard 1,200, heard 2,000. How many guns have been recovered in Mexico that were the result of guns involved in the Fast and Furious operation?
I don't know that number.
Any guess at all? Do you know? I mean, that was the purpose, was it not, of Fast and Furious, to sort of keep up with the firearms when they go to Mexico and see where they were used in a crime scene and then who the bad guys were? Wasn't that sort of the purpose?
Yeah.
Failed purpose?
That was the stated purpose, as it was in Wide Receiver and the previous attempts at dealing with the flow of guns from the United States to Mexico, none of which were ultimately successful, and all of which allowed guns to be inappropriately put into the stream of commerce.
How many guns have been recovered on Fast and Furious?
I've heard different numbers on that as well, anywhere from 800 to 1,200. I just don't know. I think we start off with a number of about 2,000 that were put into inappropriately put into the stream of commerce, and then the number that is recovered, as I've heard, 800 to 1,200, but I don't know.
What would America's reaction be if the roles were completely reversed? That if our neighbors, Mexico or Canada, they smuggled, facilitated the smuggling of automatic weapons into our country, where Americans were killed, Mexican nationals killed, what would be our reaction to that as the head lawyer in the country?
Probably similar to what the ambassador has said. Though I do have to say that we maintain a good relationship with Mexico that operates on a whole bunch of levels. Certainly law enforcement is the one that I'm most familiar with. I have a good relationship with the Attorney General in Mexico. We talk all the time. And we continue to work together on a variety of law enforcement projects, and it's not been deterred by the regrettable Fast and Furious episode. But I can understand the Mexican ambassador's comments.
And what are we doing to wrap the operation? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I didn't realize. If we're from the South, we should get more than 5 minutes, I think, Mr. Chairman. I think so. We talk slow.
Why doesn't the gentleman from Texas ask a question that he'd like the Attorney General to respond to in writing?
Then I ask unanimous consent to submit. You may ask the question or submit the question in writing.
I was going to suggest you ask the question you were planning to ask, and we'll get the response later on.
I will submit the numerous questions to the Attorney General. He'll submit back, if he would, to the chairman. Thank you.
All right. With that objection, thank you, Mr.